Let's move out and let's move into Africa. What do you have there?
Well, for sure, because the two main places you'll see today, we're gonna get back to Afghanistan for a little bit, but the two main places, and which I mean Afghanistan, the Silk Road, but in Africa, the two largest tribes in the world today are one in Afghanistan, the Pashtun, and one in Africa. You do have the Ethiopians, you do have the Lemba tribe in South Africa, who we had the Cohen gene, the priestly genetics, the Y chromosome, amongst almost 10% of them. We have different tribes all over, but the largest is the Igbo tribe of Nigeria, numbering 40 million people, who self identify as being from the children of Israel. They're doing 8-day circumcision out there. They have a lot of customs, from Jewish weddings to Jewish mourning that you'll only find amongst Mosaic law. And they are going through their own political struggles right now. There was a genocide on them in the 1960s. Millions of them were killed. Israel actually broke the blockade. But why the Igbo are most fascinating is because they're actually returning now to Judaism. There's, I think, 48 synagogues now in Nigeria who are from the Igbo, and that number is growing rapidly. The leader of the Free Igbo movement, if you will Google, his name is Nnamdi Mahdi. Um, he wears a talit, a prayer shawl, to his court appearances when he goes in for treason trials. He's wearing his talit. But the Igbo made up a significant percentage of the transatlantic slave trade. So a lot of the blacks that were taken to America on the slave ships actually had Igbo blood in them, and we see now Igbo are self-identifying as from the tribes of Israel. So if you look in America today, you'll see a lot of celebrities actually from the African American community claiming Hebrew roots. Reference would be Amari Stoudemire, a high-profile basketball player, rapper Kendrick Lamar, who's got I don't know, maybe a billion views on some of his stuff. He's these are people who are influential, and people look at them like maybe they're crazy. Like, how do they have any ties to the tribes of Israel? Then all of a sudden, we see the actual ships that brought him here are coming from the exact place in Africa where it's an Israelite hotbed. So this is going to be also an interesting piece of the puzzle.
I recently became friendly with a black Messianic Jew, and he was educating me on the Black Hebrew Israelite movement. So I just knew that as some kind of cult that says the white man is the manifestation of Satan, and that they're the original Israelites, and Jews like you and me, we are fake Jews, etc. And this felt, but I didn't have a lot of information or history because I'm so much outside of that community. So this fellow's historian. He's well educated in these areas, and he's going through the whole history of where they came from in Africa and identifying as black Jews or black Israelites. And then he said that these then began to expand it to say all blacks are the real Israelites and the whites are not. So, but it started with folks that generally had this heritage, and he'll tell me, "Oh yeah, this is how we pronounce this in our community. We have this tradition." So you're saying then, as far as you can tell, you can trace footsteps that can say, here's how we got from here to here, or is it simply a matter of, well, why else would people identify like this? How do you figure it out?
Well, it's a little bit of both. I mean, the Igbo tribe in Africa claims to be the descendants of the Judeans who fled into Egypt at the time of Gedaliah. This was also around the time of the destruction of the temple. There was a verse, I'm not, my memory's not the best, but there's a verse that says they fled into Egypt and they stayed there and they didn't come back to Israel. So they claim to be the travelers of those communities. Now, one of the mysteries of the tribes we're going to get into when we speak about the Silk Road right now is, are these the descendants of 100,000 Israelites, or are they the descendant of one Israelite? And the answer is almost irrelevant because there's no way to really understand or fully know that at this point in time. But let's go back to the Silk Road for a second to discuss this identity thing, and we'll go back to the African Americans because and their hate for the white people, which I had a debate with someone who hated white people. He told me my grandparents enslaved his grandparents, and I owe him money. I told him my grandparents were farmers in Europe, so we had to get on the same page. But there's a lot of trauma from the transatlantic slave trade and from what happened. It's all very fresh. So we have to be very diplomatic and sensitive about them. I understand why they would hate a white man. That makes total sense to me. As far as understanding neurology